have Anita, who's chair of the subcommittee who have pulled it together. She's a physiotherapist, PE teacher, and a coach. We have Eileen Barton from Canada, who's a coach, referee, technical delegate, and program development, as well as chair for participation and development within Boccia Canada Council. We have Chu Chin, who's a BC3 assistant from 2014 to 20, and currently the BC3 coach. She also does basketball officiating. We have Michaela, who was the national coach for Czech in 2015 to 2019, and currently is a boccia coach for Scotland. And last but by no means least, we have André Tavares, who's a psychomotor therapist, boccia head coach for one of the leading boccia national clubs. So without any further ado, I'd like you to sit back, enjoy the journey, and look at this player pathway, which we have great excitement at sharing with you tonight. And the presentation is going to start with a video, and then each of the groups is going to take you on one part of the pathway.
The development of boccia players has atypical characteristics, defining one pathway between beginner and high-performance player based on the criteria of age can be difficult, as we observe players of all ages with magnificent performances throughout the pathway. A player's career development can also be related to their specific physical profile. The entry point to each stage within the pathway may be different for each player due to the impairment and ability of the player, and therefore it is essential to recognize the needs of the individual player. Similarly to other sports, it is essential to develop fundamental movement skills before the development of sport-specific skills. A player's individual development may follow different components of one or more stages at any one time. The different pathway stages describe characteristics that players must reach in each phase. Illustrated in the chart is the description of the pathway between entry level and Paralympic level.
Hello, I'm Laszlo, and welcome to our webinar of Players Pathway in Boccia. We are delighted to share our work with you. We have been doing this work with my colleagues in the past months. We have gathered all studies related to the pathway. Our work is based on the athlete development model of Boccia, which is adapted from the long development model. We emphasize that our work is non-age-related description. This player's pathway is synchronized using with the levels of ADMB. So we have designated 5 pathway levels as follows, and as you can see on the screen. The first is the beginner level, comply with the fundamental level of ADMB. The second is the development level, which is the learning to play and practice level. Third is the intermediate, comply with training to train. The fourth is advanced, which is the training to compete. And the fifth is the elite level. All levels have in connection to the recreational level. We have divided each levels and explained in 3 sections. Each level got a text with detailed descriptions, as you can see on the top. Under the text, we have emphasized the important aspects with ballots. And also you can find a main list ordered by 5 subjected that technical skills, tactics, strategies, equipment rules, training and competition environment in a defined table. This document is under progress, so hopefully we can extend it with your ideas as well in the very future. So let's start. I give the word to Michaela Řiháčková, who will introduce the recreational level, then present the beginner level. Both are the fundament of our sport.
Hello, everybody. I would like to have a word about recreational area and the first level, beginner level. When we would like to talk about recreational level of any sport, we have to mention that one of the chief benefits of recreational sports for young and adult people is the social aspect of playing on a team. It provides a space for meeting new people while contributing to long-lasting physical fitness. Getting into a sport and staying in a good shape is more than a goal. It's a lifelong journey. One of our first messages, what we would like to express in the player's pathway, which is adapted specifically for sport of boccia, is that age does not really matter here. We all know people joined to clubs and they may start in any age. Boccia is very inclusive sport, regardless of age, ability, and gender. Everybody can enjoy the sport of boccia. So the words I would like highlight regarding to recreational level is enjoyment, happiness, enthusiasm. We felt important to display a recreational area where many people fall in love with this sport. People play to enjoy the sport, to meet each other and to have fun. If the player like the sport and they can progress and join to a local sport club and step into the first level of the player's pathway, which is beginner level. The beginner level is the starting point of the player's journey. The main focus is to develop confidence and desire to play boccia. Players are exploring the base of the game and they play for fun, pleasure, and happiness. This stage is about exploring the ways of propelling the ball from the technical point. The coaches are observing the trunk control and movement and physical abilities of the players. During this stage, the playing field may be reduced and modified, and further along the pathway, the longer distances can be explored. One of the best methodical approaches in terms of the content of the training sessions with the beginners is to join them together in groups, to bring the fun factor, diversity, and excitement to keep their attention and focus on the flow and pace of the session. The goal of the work with beginners is to build a positive attitude towards the sport and encourage the players to keep going. The players explore in different areas of the game, and as a good coaches, we know it's important to approach individually to each of them. Before I finish the beginner level and pass over to Eileen to introduce the development level, I would like to highlight the most important aspects when we working with beginners, what you can see on the screen now. So it's play the game, praise and encouragement. Boccia is a game and joy. Learn to propel the ball. Creativity, patience, and pleasant approach. That's the important aspect when we working with beginners. Get engaged. Join training activities and sharing emotions and experiences. Also very important when we working with beginners. Explore the basic rules. Learn more about the game. We can also observe some players who really like the game, and that's the fundamental base to become better and better. And take a part, attraction and diversity of sports activities for beginners. It's also important taking a part in friendly club competitions. So depending on the player's ability, the player can either stay at the recreational or beginner level or progress through the player's pathway. And the next level of the player's pathway is a development level.
Thank you, Michaela. The next level is development, learn to play. This is the second level of player development. It is still fun, but with an introduction of structure and discipline. I have broken this level into 5 areas: build a routine, learn game dynamics, start applying the rules, think strategically, explore peer, teams, and classification. The first area is build a routine. So let's have a look. To develop a consistent and controlled technique for any of the different shots, a solid routine is needed. It involves learning and rehearsing shot sequence with a routine. A routine includes 4 steps: the setup, preparation, delivery, and the follow-through. All of these steps will vary for individual players depending on their own techniques. So let's start with the setup. For throwers or kickers, the player is focused, seated in the best position, and adjusts the position and angle of their chair to point towards the target. They have refined trunk control and balance. For rampers, this would involve lining up the ramp for target accuracy. The next step of the routine, preparation, involves visualization of the intended shot to plan and prepare the shot. For throwers, it would include a pendulum swing in an underhand throw, but the chest throw may include small repeated movements before delivery. For both throwers and kickers, to find the best ball grip, holding the ball properly, and finding the proper grasp. For rampers, to prepare and position the ball on the ramp for the required pace. It may involve adding or taking away extensions. The third step of the routine is delivery. Ideally, it includes a smooth throw in a controlled and consistent manner. The release and timing affects the path of delivery. And finally, the fourth step is the follow-through. It's how delivery of the shot is completed. The next area in this level is to learn game dynamics. The player becomes familiar with how the game is played. There are 2 teams, red and blue, which throwing boxes are used, a court with reduced dimensions may be used, the player may increase the target areas of the court for drills as skills develop, to use balls that best match the player's ability, soft, medium, or hard, to use ramps and assistive devices that match the player, to use game terminology, and to use augmentative communication as needed. The third step in this area is to start applying the rules, to become familiar with basic rules. What's the order the balls are thrown? Red always throws the jack ball in the first end. Blue throws the second colored ball. The colored ball not closest to the jack throws the next ball. What's the valid and non-valid area? What is the cross used for? How are points scored? How is a game won? What's a tiebreaker? And some referee hand gestures. The next area is to think strategically. Watch the scoring circle. When to play offensively and defensively. Decision making, which shot, which ball. To introduce indirect shots, push on and push off, and to understand the call room process. Finally, the last area in this level is to explore peer, teams, and classification, an introduction to competition. As players become comfortable with individual play, they can be introduced to other competition formats, such as peers and team. You may start with club and regional competitions. Provisional classification will provide guidance. Strength and conditioning can be introduced. The need to recognize to follow a nutritional diet and to develop a relationship with the sport assistant. That brings us to the completion of level 2.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm going to speak about the intermediate level. This level shows the greatest development. First of all, you can see that BISFED classification process advised that to enter a national competition, the athlete recommended to go through a national classification. So it will be desirable that all players has underwent national classification process and having a defined category. We know that there are countries without a defined classification process. Athletes and coaches would gain a greater understanding of the sport by knowing what MDF, the medical declaration form, means and why it is important to fill a therapeutic use exception forms of medicine. For the athletes who needs some medicines, and also the components could be on the doping list. So we would like to encourage the trainers, as they are responsible for their players, to get informed about the classification system and all its procedures. So the athlete should be classified. In this level, players are competing in different levels. They prepare different level of aspects of the competition cycle. They play in pair and team divisions too, which requires to understand the rules. A wider knowledge and understanding essential the rules, not just individual, but pair and team rules, and also able to consult about the rule book when it is really needed. Ideally, a player using dedicated equipment. Personally used equipment is essential for the quality of the performance. Each player has their own set of balls, ramps, and meets their individual needs and allowed to play in the majority area of the court. With dedicated balls, players learning different proportions. The player is able to execute good line, pace, and trajectory for selected shots. Accurately propel the ball to the targets. Assess and choose the most appropriate type of shots covering all areas of the court. And can practice the range of individual player shots as well. With well-developed technical elements, the player can build up the game, like creating offense and defense situations, also can identify multiple solutions for each situation and consolidate decision-making process. By having good technical knowledge, the player may analyze the game, able to ask questions, and has its opinion of his and the opponent game, able to mentor the development players as well, and, if it's possible, use video analysis as well. So ideally, a player has now the most comprehensive knowledge and also preparing mentally and physically for the competitions. At this level, player may supported by a team, physicians, physiotherapists, nutritionists, and psychologists, as they are participating national, regional, and international competitions. They need a wider knowledge about their individual needs for the best performance.
Thanks, Anita, and hello, everyone. Now we will speak about the advanced level in the pathway to the players to be a legend. This is the fourth level of the pathway, and this is the time to players starting to show the best what they have with an high level of autonomy and participation. Once the skills developed before are completed, the athletes prepare for the formal competitive processes, seeking to bring their level closer to the best national players. The players' focus is on winning, with a decrease in recreational involvement. The training periodization is created around the competitive calendar and takes in consideration the training process, technical and tactical, physical, psychological, and recovery aspects. The specific training of different game aspects should be made in order to refine some key aspects of the technical process, and tactical aspects gain even more importance. The player is very involved in the whole process and should give some inputs to coach or technical team. At this time, that the players consolidate the skills learned before, players will diversify the use of different types of shots, being more effective in controlling the line, trajectory, and pace for all over the court. And they are very consistent in their preferred areas. The technical process is well defined and becomes more automatic and intuitive, allowing for an adequate adjustment depending on the type of shot that you want to perform. In competition, the player is able to prepare in advance by creating strategies that favor their individual strengths and abilities and consider the opponent's potential. For this, the use of video and data analysis becomes important. In addition to this support, the accumulated experience through playing games allows for an easier decision-making. Also, the existence of routines and mental preparation play a decisive role in maintaining consistency, especially in competitive stress situations. It's also important that the player understands the structure of the competition and understands that the different results can influence his continuity in the competition. The athlete's equipment, balls, ramps, wheelchairs, must be of high quality and must be adjusted to their individual characteristics and strategies to be used. Attention to details such as playing floor, temperature, opponent's ball, and other things can also be decisive at this level, and the elements can decisively influence the evolution of the matches. Before I pass to Chu, we mentioned these points to resume the advanced level. The skills and strategies should be well developed, refine the technical process, the players are able to use all court, maintaining good levels of play under pressure and fatigue. The equipment should be of high quality and should be adjusted. And in this level, the athletes trying to reach the top places in national competitions and can be part of national team playing in international competitions and progressing in the world ranking.
So, okay, it is always every player's dream to compete in the highest international level of the competition, which is the Paralympics. And Paralympics takes place in the last year of the quadrennium cycle. So yeah, level 5, elite, training to win. So knowledge on how to win. Typically, the process of knowledge comes from knowing and using the different types of technical and tactical skills during a competition. For example, players should always strategize on what are the options and tactics they can use against the opponent, and also to follow through with a high consistency level of executing the shot. Comprehensive team support. The coaches plays a really important role on supporting the players' progression. With that being said, physiotherapists, psychologists, nutritionists, and biomechanists should also be included in the team to enhance the player's performance too. Example of the support for the player: physiotherapists provide rehab and sports massage to help prevent injuries and aid with muscle recovery. Strength and conditioning specialists helps to develop the necessary physical quality to improve performance. Psychologists provide players with mental skills training on and off the court. Nutritionists provide players with guidelines to having a balanced diet that may help to reduce fatigue from long hours of training and to improve sports performance. Biomechanists provide players with data analysis of how their propelling movement and ball pattern to help improve their skills. Understanding the game rules and competition format, it is always good to be updated with the changes of the latest rule and competition format, as it is important and it might affect the players when they are unclear of the rules, of the latest rules. Yep. Understanding the qualification process of the Paralympic pathway, knowing which competition allows direct slot to the Paralympics, and being aware that each competition is also crucial for the qualification. For example, the world ranking point. This is a process and it takes time to achieve. It all depends on each individual player. Thank you all for your attention. This is the last level of the players pathway, and I hope we have improved your understanding in the different level of players pathway and what it is made up of. I will now pass the ball over to Anita.
So thank you for your attention. So this document is under progress and hopefully we can extend it with your ideas as well. We are going to share our work with you and we are waiting your feedback as well. So please feel free to ask questions about. Thank you very much.